8th regular school board meeting of District 717 to order, and we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Roll call, please. Here.
Sarah Layden.
Here.
Lauren Patterson. Molly Manya.
Here.
Rob Langheim.
Here.
Corinne Hennon.
Here.
Here.
Thank you, and welcome to all of our guests and visitors. Thank you for being here. Next, we have consideration of the agenda. There's not been any changes since it was published. I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda as published.
Motion to approve.
Molly, is there a second?
A second.
Second, Corinne. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. No public comments. Nobody indicated they wanted to speak. We have a couple of speeches that are here tonight that we are going to honor. So I'll call Mr. Perkle to the microphone, please.
All right. Good evening, Jordan School Board. May always seems like a great month to celebrate our students, and tonight we get to celebrate two of our awesome speech students who not only had an amazing season, helped lead the Jordan speech team to a second consecutive Wright County Conference Championship, but these two both also qualified for the state meet. So I am going to kind of get out of the way and let Coach Peters give a little rundown on them, and then they're going to actually come up and talk about their categories and what they kind of performed at when they were at state. So we're here to celebrate students, but also celebrate our coaches. So I know Coach Peters, this started, the season doesn't start until officially the beginning of January, but she starts on this in August and goes up through speech camp, through some kind of informal stuff in December, and really puts in a lot more hours than what our district is paying her to do for speech. So I just want to also give a shout out to Coach Peters, Coach Spies, and all of our speech coaches and students and leaders, and even some of our alumni who come back to help just to make this speech train go. So without further ado, Coach Amy Peters.
Thank you, Mr. Perkle, and thank you for having us here tonight. I can't say enough about our students. I am a coach, but I mean, really, it's all them and what they allow us to help them with. We have two students here tonight. Kay Ernston is a senior. She has been in speech since 7th grade, and she is this year competing in discussion, and for the past couple of years, but that's not where she started, but I will let her tell you her history with all of that. But as a senior this year, I worked with Kay as her actual direct coach, and she is well thought out. She can lead a discussion round with grace and integrity. And I don't know how familiar you are with discussion, but sometimes there's a little bit of a blood battle with kids trying to get their words being heard. But Kay is very poised when it comes to discussion. She is a captain this year as well. And then our other student is Elizabeth Osborne. She has also been in speech since 7th grade. She is also a captain. Elizabeth, I believe, performed for you guys last year. No, 2 years ago. So this was her third time going to state in serious prose. And she has this amazing ability to just get up and mesmerize the room. I'd like to say I coach her, but honestly, there's a little bit of feedback here and there. It's all these kids. They're pretty amazing. But I would like to turn it over to Kay and Elizabeth and let them talk with you guys a little bit and share what they do.
We both want to thank Ms. Peters. She has been our coach for many years throughout speech, and Perkle is absolutely correct. She puts in so much time and effort with all of us, and we want to make sure that she's appreciated in this time, because I know both of us will attest that we would not have been able to make it to state this year without her. So we want to first and foremost thank her. We are sad to have to leave this year as we're both seniors. For me personally, as she stated, I've been in speech since 7th grade. I started in X-Speaking, which is a draw-based category, but politically focused. I stuck with that theme and went into discussion. Discussion is much like actually what you guys do at a board meeting. It's political and conversal and trying to work as a team to hopefully achieve the best and most efficient solution possible. It sounds really nice and pretty. Sometimes it can get a bit ugly, but we try to do that with as much integrity and leadership as possible. I've loved my speech experience. I started in 7th grade to help build and boost my own self-confidence with public speaking. I've been so lucky to have coaches and peers support me and helping me grow. I'm so thankful for everything that speech has done for me, and I've seen how positively it has affected my life. So, thank you.
So I'm Elizabeth. Like Kay, I've also been in speech since the 7th grade. I am currently in the category of serious prose interpretation, which, as the name suggests, is more of like a sad topic. For example, this year I did eating disorders. I've covered topics of suicide and death-related incidents, as well as school shootings in the past. Oddly enough, I started out in the category of humorous, which you would not expect. And it wasn't, I went from straight to humorous to prose 1 year after the other. Apparently it worked out, so I'll take it. I was lucky enough to have an older sibling who was in speech, and I thought it was the coolest thing in the world. So as soon as I could, I was like, yes, I will be in fact doing this. So it just kind of stuck with ever since. And she actually had Peters as her coach, and I had been thrilled to have her as mine. So, yeah.
Thank you, ladies. You represent our district phenomenally well, as you have over the years, and we're just very grateful for how you represent us, and we know that all the things you've learned will help you throughout life. So in honor of that, we have our Jordan Pride Award that says, whose endeavor for excellence has shown character, determination, and hard work that represent the values of our school and our community. This is a small token of our gratitude to say congratulations and thank you for being good role models to others, and best of luck in the future to you. So, okay, thank you. Elizabeth, and then she's going to want to get a picture. So,
Oh, yes. Coach Peters, would you like to join?
yes,
Absolutely.
okay.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. Gosh, I love that one. Okay, on to the consent agenda items. There were no minutes in the packet this time. We have our April monthly finance reports. Donations that we have to approve this month, these are all for the Scott West Fishing Group. They are $100 from Eldon and Jean Davidson, $600 from Jonathan Lucas, $300 from Merchant 29, $250 from Henches Heating and Cooling, Lang's Plumbing and Heating, $500 from Cox Construction Incorporated, $200 from Clancy's Bar and Pizza Parlor, $300 from Lano Equipment, $250 from Rademacher Hardware, Ace Hardware, $300 from Women Anglers of Minnesota, $500 from Simon Millwork, Inc., $1,000 from the Prior Lake Sportsman Club, and $150 from By the Yard. And we have a declaration of surplus items. There are some track and field pole vault poles that I understand from Mr. Perkel are no longer in code, so need to be replaced and gotten rid of. And then we have the resignation of the elementary school special ed paraprofessional Sunny Foe, and resignation of the licensed school nurse Sheila Jank. So I will entertain a motion to approve the consent items.
Motion to approve.
Molly, is there a second?
I'll second.
Sarah, discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Action item 8.1, we have the list of the graduates. Superintendent Evenson?
All right, so annually, we get the privilege of taking the step and presenting to you the list of potential graduates for the 2023 school year. As a board, the next step is to approve that list, and then we celebrate with those students that complete all required credits and everything that they need to do at our graduation commencement. So first, I would like to thank all the teachers that have been a part of the kids' journeys along the way, many of them since preschool. So really want to thank our teachers and really all of the staff that support the students, and want to thank the parents and community members as well that help all of our students on their journey. So you as a school board play an important role in that as well, and this is one of the most special agenda items every year. So.
And with that, I will entertain a motion to approve the 2023 graduating class list pending fulfilling all the requirements.
Motion to approve.
Sarah, is there a second?
I'll second.
Jenny? Discussion, questions? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, ISG update.
Okay, we are very excited to be at the point where our partners from ISG are here this evening to introduce themselves to the full board. We've had some board members in committee that were able to meet them in the planning stages. And we will have, I believe, Justin Steffel and team come on up, and we'll let them introduce themselves. This is the Jordan Full School Board. Welcome to our meeting, and we'll let you take it away.
Well, thanks for having us here tonight. I'm glad there was a little time between the speech team and us because we're good speakers. But yeah, we really wanted to give you an opportunity to meet us, to ask us any questions, tell you about our process a little bit, and try to keep it brief, and I guess have a lot on the agenda. But I am Justin Steffel, I'm the project manager for ISG on the Jordan Public School project.
I'm Nikki Vanderwist. I'm the project architect.
Dan Goldman, I'm also part of the architectural team and leading the stakeholder engagement. We also have a couple people up here that aren't here tonight. These slides are from our interview process, so a couple of other instrumental people have this.
So ISG started as a very small firm out of Mankato, and we've grown quite a bit in the last 25 years. This year is actually our 50th year in business, so we're celebrating. We have 11 offices. You can kind of see where we're located there, but kind of all around central area there. And then we do have a few services that we're providing for Jordan School District. Those are more highlighted in the red. We do a lot of other type of work as well. We don't need all of those disciplines for this particular project, so we're pretty broad when it comes to what we can provide for a district. I think that's good because we have all of our employees, all of our team members under 11 of us. I guess probably can't say every one of them, but we're all one team, right? So we're talking to an engineer, or we're talking to somebody else on the team. We can just pick up the phone or walk down the hall and talk to them.
We have team members in your community as well, so we're very excited about that. Very excited.
We just wanted to show you a few projects that we've been working on in the last couple of years. These definitely aren't all of them. This is Southland Community School Districts, which is kind of way down southeast of Rochester. We did an entire school renovation there, which included updating the elementary wing and then adding a gymnasium. And then this was a elementary school that we completely revamped. It's in Onalaska, Wisconsin. And we just kind of wanted to show you a little before and after here.
This is like your elementary school, and a lot of similarities with what the work we're beginning to do.
So that's the after floor plan. The original building is dashed in red there. You can see it's expanded quite a bit, and there's the original exterior.
These are the best shows. Before and after, so just a lot of experience revamping some of the building.
I think it's probably important, I know, for me, I would want to know, when are we breaking ground? So I'm thinking the board might want to hear that piece of it, so.
Yeah, so obviously we're working with Dustin and Jonathan Kraus-Anderson as we get into the design here. We'll further develop the schedule, but it's my understanding that spring of next year, pending road restrictions and frost coming out around. We're on track at this point to provide bidding documents sometime in November. Kraus-Anderson and we go out to the bids. We can start ordering materials and get permitting in place for spring of 2024.
So our hope is that construction costs stay low.
I noticed that your schematic design timeframe is pretty compressed. Are you pretty confident that you're going to be able to hit on what the full design is before you start going into those next stages based on the process that you have right now?
We are,
So you'll be done by end of June, if that's, if I'm
yeah,
reading that
and
right?
that's part of, we have a fairly aggressive effort right at the moment with visioning labs and engaging staff. So before the end of the month, we'll have spent 6 full days, and as well as PTO meeting and a couple other community meetings, gathering some additional info. So we're focusing a lot of effort right now on that, and that's really important because we don't want to be making changes later down the road that gets costly for everyone, more difficult for us to do as the office.
I would add, if I can, and we do appreciate how aggressively you're working with us to really have those engagement meetings, at least 2 rounds of them in May while staff is still on site. One of the things that was super important, we heard in the feedback from the staff, was to be able to be engaged in the process and provide input and feedback, which makes sense. Having that user end feedback always makes everything, better and more functional. And so they really aggressively are meeting that deadline for us. We will have 2 full rounds. I actually can't even say how many groups they're meeting with. I know it's a list this long on my computer screen. Virtually every staff member at the elementary school, a large group at the high school, which we actually met with today, technology user group, custodial user group, our kitchen staff user group, PTO meetings, public meetings, early learning meetings. They're really doing a lot for us because that was our priority. So I think that will help a lot, having that user end information in the ultimate design. So we appreciate it.
So you said there is public meetings that you're going to have as well after you meet with staff?
I can speak to that.
Okay.
Yep. So we're working with our PTO at the elementary school.
Okay.
Those are all public meetings, and all of our parents will get that communication for that event in that evening. So if they would like to choose to come to that, they can do that. We're doing a separate one for early learning because the needs are different. And the groups are different. So we'll have that opportunity. We're also personally inviting any community members that volunteered on committees and all of that to get their input and feedback as well.
Great.
How, and this is probably something that's going to come a little bit down the line, but so for the construction period, so that school year 2024 to 2025, how disruptive is that going to be for the elementary school, and are there going to be kind of mitigating
Yep.
kind of strategies that are in place?
So what we've been communicating throughout the process to our staff in the buildings and parents in our community meetings that we had in the pre-referendum stage is that we'll be very intentional to get as much work done in the summer months as we can. We're very fortunate that at the end of next school year we'll be done Memorial Weekend and not start until after Labor Day, so that summer month time is stretched out. There are things that can happen on site during the school year. For example, if you're building an addition, if you are moving the playground, those kinds of things that happen outside, there will be noise for sure. But we will try to minimize as much as we can the moving of kids around. I know really when this project happened, I was an intern here for my superintendent's license, so I was around during that time, and staff was amazing, honestly, with how they moved students around as they needed during instruction. It was happening everywhere. But we will be as intentional as we can to minimize that. I can't say it won't happen, but we're going to really look to maximize our summer months.
And then we're really doing our best to make sure everyone's moved in fall of 2025. Is that
Always
right?
the goal. Yep.
Okay, perfect.
Yep.
Cool. It's exciting.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Anything you'd add to that? Anything you'd add to that? Okay.
I will say that when they did this building, I was up here a lot, and the safety precautions that took place by the construction company was phenomenal. I mean, the kids were kept very, very safe and very secluded from when there was movement and stuff, so.
And I would even add, you know, we even have some student groups that are going to give some input and feedback. And, you know, I've had some construction experience as well. And one of the things I thought that was really special and neat is the kids actually, you know, feel like they're a part of it and have information along in the process. So I know that we'll be able to do some of that too.
Good. Any other questions or comments? Well, thank you very much, and good luck with the rest of your meetings the rest of the week. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks you guys. Appreciate you.
guys. Great, thank you. Next, we have PMA. Mr. Pumper?
Well, good evening, everyone. Steve Poker, Teammate Financial.
Good evening.
First time in front of you since April 11th, so my first words are for you, congratulations. Excited about this. I have a presentation here tonight for you about going forward now with selling the bonds, so you actually have the money to pay your fine architects and engineers and construction people as you go forward and get this project done. Normally, this is a really easy presentation. I'm giving to the school board and just saying, hey, let's sell the bonds, here's the process, blah, 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 go forward, and board members vote yes, obviously. Tonight, though, I'm asking you for some direction, because you do have an option, and it's not, I already had this conversation, it's not a clear-cut option, so you have to put your thinking caps on and decide what you want to do, okay? So we'll spend as much time as you need to go over this. I don't expect you to be bond wizards or anything like that, but I think you'll understand the concepts well enough that we can make a choice tonight, so you can give us direction as we go forward. All right, so, again, April 11th, your voters came through and authorized you to issue up to $34,999,000 of school building loans. So that's what we're talking about tonight. And the decision you're going to have to make to provide us some direction is whether we sell all those bonds at once, so that we call one issue, or if we break them up into two different issues. And I'll show you the pros and cons of each. And then we'll review the proposed timeline based on what we decide. So just to give us a little bit of background here, or some information that we use for I have a chart here that's showing two different interest rates. The blue line is representing what we call the AAA 20-year bond index, which is an index for all the bonds that are sold in the United States that have a AAA rating. It's what pretty much all municipal advisors use as a guide to what interest rates are doing. And if you notice back in the 2020s, we were at historic lows, that you were actually selling tax-exempt debt at just over 1%. Unbelievable. I mean, super low, historically low. That has since changed, and the high point actually came out, ironically, the fall of 2022, which is the time that we generated all your tax impacts for your referendum. So we were saying, okay, the bond market was at this rate, and so here's what we believe you're going to be selling your bonds for. You'll notice that it's come down a little bit since this fall to where we are right now in April of 2023. So we're in a, roughly a 3%, a little bit, 3.5% interest rate environment, and these are AAAs. You will not get AAA interest rate. But we're still in a sub-normal environment, but we're a lot higher than we were, at 1% a couple of years ago. However, the green line is representing the 6-month Treasury yield. And the reason that is important is that's the rate that you're going to be able to invest your money at, or something very close to that. So when we receive, or when you receive your bond dollars, we're able to invest that. You'll invest that through Teammate Financial, and you'll receive interest dollars on that money, which you then can spend on your construction project. You can't spend it on anything else, but you can use it to enhance your construction project. And you'll notice that, you know, for such a long time, you were getting, not just you, everybody was getting next to nothing on any investments, less than 100%. And now we're up to, your money that's sitting in our money market right now is getting about 4.95%. So almost 5% is what you're earning on that money now. So this is a perfect storm, actually, a really good thing for school districts, because you're still selling your debt at a very low rate, but you're able to invest your rate at a very high rate. However, there are some IRS rules that go along with that we need to talk about. Actually, I'll talk about that right now before I go into this chart. When you sell your debt, you're selling these as taxes and bonds, and so whatever rate that you'll sell it at, and we won't know that, of course, until the day we price, you cannot earn more interest on that, on the interest part, than what you're selling it at. If you earn more than that, it's not a bad thing. You just have to give that back to the government. Okay, so you can't keep all the interest you earn. So if you sell your bonds at 3.5% and you are getting 4.5% return on your investments, that additional 1% you have to give back to the government. Okay, with a couple of exceptions, which I'll go through in a minute. So this chart shows you, actually we'll start with the middle column. That was the original RSC, stands for Review and Comment, that was sent to the state of Minnesota to approve your plan. And you can read kind of the numbers there. The deposit to construction was $33.98 million, which is the amount that we figured based on our loan bonds. We were required to update that in February, and so the numbers changed. And then the column on the left actually is where we are right now. So if we were to sell all of your, the full amount that you have right now, the $34.99 million of par, so this would be one issue, we would expect you to be paying capitalized interest of $391,000. I'll tell you what that means in just a minute. Your total debt service will be $53.9 million. The deposit to construction would be $35.9 million. You'd be able to retain roughly $1.6 million, and I'm using that based on the draw schedule that was given to me by Carl Sanderson. So that tells me how long they can invest your money. So you would have total project funds of $37.5 million. So why is that number higher? The first part is because we're in a market now where you're going to receive premium when we go to the market to sell your bonds. And what that means is the investors are going to pay you additional dollars to get a higher coupon on your money, which then you can keep and put to your construction budget. So that's why you're going to receive additional dollars there. The capitalized interest part is important to understand because that's going to show up on your next slides when we talk about one or two issues. Capitalized interest means part of your bond proceeds are going forward to make your first interest payment. And the reason we did that in all of our iterations that went through the state is because we wanted to keep your tax impact at a certain level, right? I mean, through your survey part, essentially what we said, a certain level of house, we wanted to cap it at a certain dollar amount. In order to do that, you can spend part of your proceeds to pay your first interest payments, therefore reducing the tax impact. But now, because of interest rates, that they're lower than they were when we submitted those to the state, we believe the capitalized interest will be lower, a lot lower. So $391,000. Okay, and we can come back to all these slides in a minute, you know, as we go through. But if you have questions about what I'm telling you, certainly feel free to interrupt me at any time. So, what happens if we split it into two issues? And I'll show you this on the next slide, but it's going to reduce the capitalized interest, so that will give you more for your construction project. And then it's going to reduce, if not eliminate, all of the, what we call the arbitrage. So the additional dollars that I said that you can keep from investments, you have to give back to the IRS. Well, there's actually there's more than two exceptions, but the two exceptions that will apply to you is if you sell no more than $15 million of tax-exempt debt in 1 year, arbitrage doesn't factor in. You can keep as much interest as you want. Okay? If you spend all of your money, there's more rules than this, but in a 2-year period of time, you actually have to meet 4 different spend down along the way. You can keep all of your money as well. Okay? So if we sell all the money right now, there's no way you're going to spend the $35 million in 2 years. I mean, that just isn't going to happen. So you're not going to meet the 2-year spend down. You won't meet the small issuer spend down either because you're going to be selling more than $15 million. All right? So if you sell all your dollars now, the amount of interest you're going to have to give some back to the IRS. And again, that's not a bad thing. Just want you to understand that. And this is a disclosure disclosure. If we do sell it in 2 issues, there's gonna be more what we call cost of issuance to sell the bonds. You're gonna be paying you're gonna pay PMA, that's the most important thing, is I have to disclose it to you. You'll be paying us a bigger fee because we're doing it twice for you. You'll be paying your bond attorney twice. You'll be paying the rating agency twice, et cetera. So just so you know, there's more cost. But all the numbers I'm showing you are the net of all those fees, okay? So here's a table that will hopefully help you, make some decisions. So the column on the left is one issue. Okay, so we sell all the 34.9 in one lump sum. You have that 391,000 capitalized interest. So the deposit to your construction is that $35.9 million number. We believe you actually make more than $1.6 million of interest, but you're only going to keep $1.6 million of interest. So that means your total project will have $37.5 million to spend. Okay, are we clear on that column? All right, if we split into 2 issues, the first issue would be for $15 million, so that would be the only debt that you're issuing in 2023, so then we fall under the small issuer exemption, so you can keep all your interest on that. And then we would sell the balance probably in January of next year, so it close in February. And January is a really good time to issue tax exempt debt in the state of Minnesota. So you would have, again, your deposit to construction is $21 million, so when you go over it and total everything up, you would have 36, oh, I'm sorry, point out that there's no capitalized interest if we do it to two issues, okay? So you could keep all of your money, you're not spending any of your bond money on paying that first interest payment. So your deposit to construction is $36.3 million. You'll be able to keep all of your interest earnings, and our estimate would be $1.7 million of interest earnings. So you total project funds would be that $38 million number. So when we look on the very far right column, you see the differences. Your total debt service, so the amount that you have to levy over the next 20-year period of time from your taxpayers is less by nearly $100,000. Not really significant over a 20-year period of time, but it still is less for your taxpayers to pay. However, here's your big issue: is your deposit construction for the bond sales is $400,000 higher. Your interest earnings are $100,000 higher. So the amount that you have to spend on your project is just over $500,000 higher than if you sell a bunch of one issue. Okay, people with me so far? All right. So to me, that's an easy decision, right? Why would you not do 2 issues? Right? You get $500,000 more. But here's the reason that.
Just wrote that down.
Here's why it's important you understand. Because this is really, honestly, it was your call. So, actually, the first bullet point is this way saying, if markets are static, the numbers that I showed you are going to be, those are all estimates, but it's going to be pretty close. You are going to make more money. You're going to have more money for you if markets stay the same now for the next 7.5 months, because it'll be 7.5 months before we can price your next bond in January. But second bullet point is the borrow rates could rise, right? I don't have a crystal ball. I can't tell you what's going to happen in the market. And investment rates could fall as well. I mean, I'm predicting investment rates at what they are right now, but is there a guarantee they're going to be at the same rate 7.5 months from now? No. What I can tell you is the $15 million that you're going to sell, that's going to be at the rates that we are at right now. And the $15 million that we're going to invest right now, we'll get today's market. But I just don't know what's going to happen between now and next January. The last piece on this slide just says that in order to meet the tax impacts that you communicated, we helped you communicate to your community, interest rates would go up 2% and we'd still be able to meet those tax impacts. I don't have this written down, but just to give you some more things to think about. Let's say that you decide that you want to do 2 issues, and all of a sudden, 2 months from now, 3 months from now, we see the market starting to move. Doesn't mean that we have to wait till January to sell your next issue. We could go up and sell the rest of your bonds right now. You just wouldn't be able to take advantage of that arbitrage issue as far as more than $15 million, and it's likely you'd be spending your money longer than 2 years. But I just wanted to let you know that it's not like you make a decision, you have to wait till January to sell the next issue.
So you're saying, just so I'm clear,
Yep.
break even is if rates go up by 2%?
No,
Based
I'm
on
not
those
saying
scenarios?
break even is 2%. I'm saying
What?
that the expectations for your taxpayers is if rates went up like by 3 or 4%, it would be hard for us to be able to design a structure that would keep your tax impacts at the level that we promised for voters.
I guess I'm just going back to what's the break even of the $500,000 that you just showed on the previous slide?
Yeah, that's gonna be, that will be probably close, that's a little bit harder to say because you have two different interest rates going on, you know, as well. But on the sale of it is probably more like a 0.5%, you know, for the.
So 50
interest.
basis points?
50 basis points, yeah.
Okay.
So the arbitrage thing, is there a, just so I'm clear, is there a time frame between when you sell one bond and sell the other, or does it have to be a year apart, or
It has a calendar year.
calendar year?
years, yeah,
Calendar
50
year.
million in a calendar year.
Okay.
So, kind of summarizing here, again, if you do one issue, here's the good parts. Your interest rates are locked, you can sleep at night, you know, but, you know, you've got everything done, you can tell your construction people, here's how much money you have, the money will be invested right away, and you'll know what you have to fund your project. The two issues we just kind of went through already. I mean, obviously, you just, you have the potential for gaining more dollars for your construction project. The timeline will be the same on this first sale, no matter what you choose. So I'll go through that. Tonight's meeting is the 8th, where you're going to take action on the parameters resolution, which I'll go through in just a minute here. We would expect to price your bonds the week of June 26th. We've got it highlighted in blue as the 27th, it could be any day that week. In July, we would come back to you at your regularly scheduled meeting on the 10th, to have you ratify the sale. And then you actually receive your funds on August 2nd. And that's when we start investing those dollars, and you have the funds to be able to pay for the expenses going forward. These are all estimates, though. Because of the parameters resolution, you really are giving us carte blanche on when we think the right day is to sell the bonds. So if for some reason June was a bad month to sell, we might postpone the sale to July if, you know, we come to your August meeting. So have it approved. But we don't expect that to happen. We expect this to be all of it. The resolution that's in front of you tonight would be to proceed with the sale of the bonds, subject to certain parameters. It also allows you, and we need to do this by resolution, to submit a credit enhancement application. And especially for newer board members, what that is, it's a free process, so there's no reason you would not take advantage of it, where the state guarantees to make your payments on the debt if for some reason you don't. And the reason that's a good thing is because if I'm the person buying your bonds, I feel really good that if for some reason Jordan doesn't make your payments, I'm going to get made whole by the state, so that before I give you a lower interest rate when I bid on your bonds. And it also allows you for any reimbursement of project expenses. So if Amy starts cutting checks right now for this project, before you receive your funds, you can go back and reimburse yourself for those expenses. The parameters that you were given as a board is you're authorizing the superintendent or the director of finance and any board officer to execute the documents when you go for sale, as long as the true interest cost does not exceed 5%, that it doesn't exceed the $34.99 million worth of par. And then this resolution expires on May 1st, 2024. And again, the reason we have that date in there is because this would allow us to sell it in two issues, should you go that direction. If you direct us now to sell it in one issue, it doesn't really change the resolution at all. We just would sell it in one issue. And then again, what I told you before is the full board does ratify the sale at this next meeting. And that's what I have right there, and I'm happy to go back on any slide that you want. If you have additional questions, I actually would probably go back to this slide. It's probably one of the most useful slides to give you some direction. And Madam Chair, I'll turn it back to you.
Okay.
And I'll certainly stand for any questions and be a resource as you provide some direction to us.
Okay, so I'll open it up to board discussion. This is a big decision on our part.
So your assumption for interest rates, is that 25 basis points what was just passed by the Fed in May? Like, is this current, or is this as of April 17th?
It says April 17th, so I actually just looked at it today before I came. You used up about 10 basis points of those 25 right now.
Right.
So you've got an additional 15 cushion on top of that. And actually, today it just came down a little bit today as well, the market did, but every day changes, so.
Yeah, okay.
Can you explain again why, when you break it into two, that you don't pay capitalized interest? I thought you said it had to, if it was over 15 million. So that second column, you're at 19.99.
Yep. So, the capitalized interest doesn't have anything to do with the $15 million limit, and that's, I mean, I don't, you certainly won't apologize for me confusing you. I mean, because I should apologize for that. 15 million has to do with whether or not you can keep all the interest that you earn or not. The reason that we don't need to do capitalized interest when we break it into two is because by selling only $15 million, the interest payments on your bonds for that $15 million over the 20-year period of time aren't high enough that we need to offset that to reduce the tax impacts by using part of the bond proceeds to pay the first interest payment. So there's less interest that your taxpayers have to pay the first year when you only sell $15 million than if you sold the whole 34.9 at one time.
What happens if you flip it and sell the
Yeah, that's
almost
what I was
20
gonna ask.
million the first, like now, and then sell the 15 million next year?
Since we know what the rates are, does that, what's the,
That's actually a good thought, and we haven't put that together, but nice thought, Jenny. You could do that. You probably would still have some capitalized interest with the 19.9, but it won't be as high as the 391,000. And then the 15 million that, I'm sorry, the 15 million that you would sell in 2024, we would just need to make sure that all 15 million is all you would sell in that calendar year. You wouldn't sell any other tax exempt debt, which can be very well true, for you to handle the arbitrage. The one piece we have to look at is, are we going to be able to spend all 19 or $20 million within those 2-year spend down exceptions. But even if we couldn't, that means you would only have to pay arbitrage or potentially give back some of your interest earnings on the 19.9 million. You would not have to give any back on the 15 million. So that would certainly be an option. And you could provide that direction to us if you'd rather go that route.
So if, just a guesstimate, if we do reverse those two columns, the bottom line in green, how much do you think that will change?
Well, it would change by whatever that capitalized interest number probably is. I mean, so 391,000 is the most if we sell it all, right? And so if 15 million, we know nothing, it's really only the 4 million part. So maybe $100,000, maybe it'd be 100,000 of capitalized interest. I mean, really guessing, shooting at the hip, but that's actually a good thought. So maybe it'd be more in the $400,000 range.
I mean, I guess
Additional dollars.
I'd be interested to see like how those numbers pan out compared to like this, like if we flip them.
I'm not a gambler, so in light of the economy, well, I don't know.
I got a thought.
You share.
Sorry. I didn't wanna
I want to
hang out
find out, first, hold your thought there. Worst case scenario, the bottom falls out, you know, and mainstream media is even saying, you know, recession this summer. What does that do to this?
I'm not sure your question, Deb. So, again, if something were to happen drastic in the market, my recommendation is we sell everything. I mean, even if we had initially sold, you know, 15 or 18 million dollars, and we had the rest to sell, we would move to sell. I mean, I can't. I have to be really careful legally what I say.
Yeah.
Could the markets move that fast drastically? I suppose it's possible. It's unlikely for it to go fast enough that we couldn't react.
So-
To keep you okay.
Really, we're looking at like 7 months difference, right? If we do the 2 payments.
Right.
And if for some reason the market changed vastly, you're saying we could sell the remaining amount in the same year and be like more towards the first column where we sell it all in one chunk, or can we
Correct.
not?
It'd be more like the first column if we sold it all in the first year, even the 2 issues.
Yeah.
But we would have incurred double costs for the work that PMA does.
But is that double cost gonna cost more than what we would lose if the market
No,
changes that much?
I mean, I am telling you, full disclosure, that we will be paying, you know, not double cost, but additional costs by doing it twice. But none of that, honestly, will be significant
decision.
It's the gap, though. That would be the difference between what we had to purchase and what we would be able to sell.
Right.
We would lose that gap.
Yep.
So here are my 3 thoughts. Interest rates are still, if you look at it from a 40-year basis, from a 40-year kind of time frame, they're still very, very low, even though we've seen rapid increase over the last year. But so just from a historical perspective, they're still very low. So from my perspective, that has an opportunity to potentially have them go up, and you're still kind of within historic norms. There is kind of this, to your point, that there's kind of this balance right now that's going on of trying to maintain inflation, and then is there a recession? And it's just, and who knows? We have no idea what's going on. In terms of kind of the cushion that we have, I mean, it's a pretty limited cushion that we're talking about to be able to get $500,000. If you look at $500,000 over $35 million, we're talking about less than 2% of the budget. Do we really want to kind of gamble with the interest rate potential change for that low percentage of what we potentially could eke out from a budget, where we're putting the vast majority of, or we're not putting the vast majority, but we're putting our project budget kind of at risk. I don't know, from my perspective, I think it's in my mind, it's kind of a no-brainer. I think you just do it at once. It's a peace of mind thing. There's limited risk. There's going to be plenty of other things that we need to be worrying about as we go through this cycle.
Right. I agree.
I agree with that as well.
I don't know if I do, because you can still sell it in the same year, like if it changes that much.
Your crystal ball might be better than mine, but I don't know. It's a risk-reward thing for me.
Right.
Well,
If I
here's
could
a-
have $500,000 more and make the tax impact less for our, like, community members.
I don't think that's exactly right, but here's
No.
a,
Well, isn't that what the negative 99, like almost 100,000 is that that'd be less tax impact on our?
so here's a thought.
It
Oh,
would-
go ahead.
I just wanna
Yep, go ahead.
It would be less over a 20-year period of time.
Yeah, so
I just
not
wanna
that
just
much,
like
like,
that.
But we likely would refund the bond at a certain point and save a ton for tax. We do that. We've refunded bonds and saved tons of money for our taxpayers. We do that regularly when we can.
Yep.
But the thought that I had, and I wasn't sure if I was going to weigh in or not weigh in, I just appreciate the thoroughness of the conversation, and I appreciate the information. When we looked back in February at this number, like the project funds were significantly less. So I already feel really good at where the rates are and the fact that we have the potential, even just with one sale, and I'm very conservative in my approach as well. We already, I mean, if we're able to do one sale and be at 37, that's amazing, because we as a group, you know, when we first started looking at bond referendum, we wanted to be around that mark, but because of the tax impact, we went with 34,990. So already, this is a benefit to the district, even with one issuance. So I'm more conservative because I'm not sure it's worth the risk for $500,000 potential. That's just where I'm at. Of course, it's not my decision at all, but I feel ethically I just needed to be transparent with that.
can you go back one slide with the predictions, like where it had all three? That one, yeah. So
So-
really, we're like $4,000 more roughly, or 4 million more
Mhm.
than what we were when we
Correct.
did.
So already, this is a much better
Yeah.
place to be.
Right.
Well, and that's how I feel right now.
3.5
We're
million
already
better.
better. Like, I just don't, I'm
Yeah.
also conservative. I'm concerned to take that risk when we're already getting more than what we had
Yeah.
originally gone,
And
right?
honestly, I don't think it has to do with are we conservative or not.
Yeah.
I think it's a matter of there's so much ambiguity right now
Right.
with where interest rates are going.
Right.
That's fair.
That is it worth it to put this amount of money at risk to be able to eke out a couple bucks more?
Right, and that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. I think just conservative with
Yeah.
I'm thinking, you know?
Yeah,
Is
I
it
mean,
worth it?
I think if we had a bigger kind of cushion, that, you know, and the payoff was a little bit higher, then that changes kind of the calculation. I just think kind of for this set of circumstances, do the one issue and then focus on some of the other
Right.
things that we got going on.
Because crystal ball, is it possible that if really things go south, that 500,000 could go down to zero?
You can have
Or-
zero on it, yeah.
Yeah.
To me, and if
Yeah.
maybe Rob and Sarah were kind of going that, what you're putting at risk in my mind, is, the ability to meet your tax impact for the 2023. It's really
Yes.
not project funds as much. I mean, either way, you're either, in either scenario, just as superintendent said, you're gonna have more money than you originally thought. To split up the project, you just, could you have more than that? Yeah, it's possible. But, I think you said, well, Rob, weighing that against, the public promise that we made with the tax impact.
So we have a resolution, and also it's not delineated in the resolution, so the decision that the board makes, do you want that to be a separate motion, or is that just giving you direction?
Yeah, ma'am, you can do it either way. I mean, obviously, if you do a straw vote on direction, we know which way to proceed. And it will go forward with the sale that way. If you want to put it down for a record on the vote, there's no resolution called out for that, but it's up to you how you want to proceed with that.
What's the wishes of the board? Do you want to just straw ballot, let him know which direction we want to go? And go for the resolution this way, or do you want a separate vote?
Yeah,
Whatever.
yeah. I'm like,
Madam Superintendent, do you have a preference?
Somebody make a motion. Just do a separate vote. That way, there's no confusion.
Okay.
Everybody gets to have their voice heard. If you just do a separate vote, somebody make or make an action.
And that does not have to be a resolution, that piece of it, okay. So I will make the motion that we direct PMA to move forward with a singular bond sale. Looking for a second.
Second.
Okay,
Oh,
Rob?
Sorry.
Discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, on to the resolution.
So I just tried, maybe just really quick again, I guess, move that last slide. Here's what you're voting on. Again, you're giving authority to the superintendent, and a board officer, superintendent or the director of finance and the school board officer to execute the documents. As long as it doesn't have a true cost higher than 5%, it doesn't exceed the par amount of $34.99 million, and the resolution expires on May 1st, 2024. And the resolution also calls for a reimbursement. Reimbursements are allowable, and you're authorizing the district to participate in the state federal transfer.
Okay, so that's the resolution that you have in your packet in front of you. So I will entertain a motion to approve the resolution.
Motion to approve?
Sarah, is there a second?
I'll second.
Jenny, any further discussion or comments? Thank you for your work on this and for explaining a very complicated procedure. So,
Yes.
thank you. Yes. And with that, this is a roll call vote, please.
Sarah Lynn,
Yes.
Lauren Pedersen, Molly Manya,
Yes.
Rob Langheim,
Yes.
Corinne Hennen,
Yes.
Jenny Kuski,
Yes.
Deb Paul.
Yes. Motion carries. Thank you, thank you. Have a good evening, Steve. Okay, on to board and administrative reports. Superintendent Evenson.
All right, Chair Polly, members of the board. It's just awesome. We're at our May meeting. There's so many good things happening in May. Last week, we started off with kind of the beginning of the fun festivities with the APAC banquet, which was amazing. We had the spring musical this weekend, which was so good. And, I think we've got pasta and pops this week and a gazillion other events. You will not be bored in May. So lots of good things happening. I did want to share that the JI will be having coverage of our graduates this year. which has been a labor of love and a lot of conversations. So kudos to Elise and Jeff, and I think some parents that helped us out in communication with editors. And so they are doing some special things for Jordan, which is really great. So outlined in my report, you'll see that. They're even going to drop off 175 copies for each family. So very nice. So we thank the JI for their partnership with that and look forward to seeing that in the May 25th issue. We've had a lot of great service projects. When you walk the grounds at the high school, you'll see the 8th grade kids did a phenomenal job on some of the mulching and cleaning up the grounds, just starting to get ready for graduation. So really proud of the kids. We have some great partners as well with the Jordan S. Lions, bringing the saplings to our kindergarten students. So we appreciate that tradition and partnership. And I did note a legislative update. We continue to monitor what's happening in the legislature. I see I missed a phone call from one of my favorite legislators early this evening, so we'll see what's happening today in the House of Representatives. But, you know, we continue to monitor the Family, Leave Act and all of that, and what that could mean for our district, along with all businesses, of course. And we continue to monitor the unemployment benefits component. We've communicated an awful lot with our legislators on that, Senate and the House committee members, just with some of the concerns that we have of the financial impact to the district, what that will mean for us and our financial stability. And as we shared, I think it was at the April work session, we talked about our summer programs and targeted services and ESY, the required programming that we have. We could have some significant impact with finding staff to work those programs should there be a change with the unemployment benefit for hourly workers. So that's something we'll be monitoring along with every school district in the state. There's still no resolution on, whether it'll be 4 and 5 or 4 and 2 or what that will look like. But it's not looking amazing. To be very direct, the concern will be if some of the unfunded mandates move forward, that we'll go backwards with our funding. And in June, we very well could be bringing a budget that shows deficit spending. So we'll keep you, aware. I'll continue to send alerts as I receive them. But I think we have to be very honest and very transparent with our community, with our staff members, that despite the communication that it's historic funding, which it is, it's also historic costs with mandates. And unfortunately, it's outpacing the dollar amounts that district would receive. So we'll monitor it, but we'll keep you in the loop.
Great. Yeah, thank you. Any questions? Okay. All the other reports, director's reports were included in the packet. Any comments or questions about them? I just had one comment. I was a little disappointed in the number of students that didn't take the MCAs, the online students. That's a loss.
And that when that happens, when students decline to take the test, and they have every right to do that, parents have the right to opt them out. The challenge for us is it skews our data because it's a 0. It's a fail. And so when people see our scores and they're like, gosh, our scores are not that great, the challenge is there's a lot of opting out that's happening. So that's a frustration.
Right. Okay.
Is there something that we can do to kind of head that off a little bit?
I mean, we continue to communicate with families. We can't require them to take it. We try to offer incentives, especially at the high school level, which it's completely within the operations manual for MCAs. You can do that. Some people get annoyed with that, but I mean, we do the best that we can to entice our high school students to take the test. We're very creative in a lot of ways to get them to do that. Tougher at the elementary, but I mean, it's something we talk about every single year and try new things. Our principals work really hard on that piece, but it's not unique to Jordan either.
Do we know how well or poorly we're doing relative to other districts?
I I mean, we still continue to outpace the state average in all but, I think, one grade level, one test, one sub-test, if I remember correctly from last year, so that's a good thing. But, you know, we often have our students that are our 4.0s, our PSEOs, our kids that 100% would exceed, those are the kids that aren't taking the test, a lot of times. And so it's not always, I'm not generalizing every student, but
Yeah.
it's enough that we notice it,
Right, yeah.
so.
Great.
And we always give that disclaimer when you see the scores, when you see the world's best workforce. I mean, Erin shares it every year, that this is reflective of students that took the test as well as those that declined it, because those declines are a fail.
I feel like it would almost be better just to contact, because it's MDE, right, that
Yeah.
decides that it's a, like, fail.
Oh, and I mean, you were a
Yeah.
teacher, like,
I
you
mean,
know,
I
we
feel
do.
like that's, it's like a MDE
Yeah.
thing, it's not, because it is like every school district has kids that opt out, and it
Yep.
is, sometimes you're high flyers and sometimes
Yep.
not, and I think it's more like they need to change the way that they report their scores.
They 100% do, and I can tell you superintendents and principals have been lobbying for that for a decade. It's not a priority. And I'm sure the teachers' union has as well. They've not been flexible on it.
Okay. On to committee reports, calendar. I don't think you met, did you? No. City School, we just met tonight. Sarah, you want to tackle that one?
Yeah, we had a really good conversation about the traffic discussion with the roundabouts and the traffic study that's come out. We did ask for some additional data. A lot of this, the traffic study was from 2019. So, and, you know, Renee and myself were not part of the board at that time, or you were not in role, and there's a couple individuals on council as well. So just digging a little more into some more of the data. They're going to pull that for us, and we actually decided that we're going to have another meeting June 12th to kind of continue that discussion.
Yeah, that was pretty much
Yep.
took
Eight-
the whole other
that-
hour, other
yes.
than a little bit of talk about the possibility that the city won't be offering the DMV services.
Anymore,
So we
yes.
had a little discussion about that, but otherwise, yeah.
You could get your tabs, but I don't know that you're going to be able to get your tabs there anymore. So, right. Yeah. Yeah.
The thing that'll be hard is like if you sell a vehicle. I mean, it was so handy to go there to do the title transfer and stuff. but-
They have it in
When-
New Prague.
Pardon?
They have it in New Prague.
That is,
We heard
we heard that.
You didn't know that?
No.
So our fearless leaders are kicking the can to the other town.
Well, they said most of the people that use are DMV
from
Are not from Jordan.
Yeah, I kind of picked up on that. Yeah, it's too bad. It's a nice service.
It is a nice
Yes.
service, yes.
I do agree. It'll be sad if that goes.
Oh, it's going. It's just,
Oh, it is, for sure.
oh,
Yeah.
it's going.
Actually, tonight I think it's going.
Tonight they're voting
probably.
on that.
As we speak.
Yeah,
I
so
think
right now.
They also communicated they were losing money.
Oh, big
Like,
time.
The amount of money
Yeah.
that the
They
state was
said they're losing
making,
100 grand.
yeah.
That's because of
Well, because
going
it's
back
an
to
FTE, well, I think
Minlars.
They calculated it based on an FTE that they needed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
with the change with Minlars years
Yeah.
ago, that couple years ago, that was a huge failure. It was a result
Yeah.
of that, so. yeah.
Can you talk about what they put in there instead? Or like, they'll just have it.
I mean, I think they
see
offer
it?
other services out of there versus just,
Oh, yeah, they have a whole bunch of different
Yeah.
services. They're just not offering
It's
those.
just right downtown.
Yeah.
right by Mula's.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like across the street from. The green building, green and white.
Yeah.
Okay. Community Ed and Rec. Corinne, did you guys meet?
Yeah, we did. Really two big takeaways from CERC meeting. We debriefed on Celebrate Jordan and kind of what that looked like and the success of that event. Cullen has locked in the date for next year. It's going to be a week after, so April 14th, so after spring break, so people have time to come back from spring break and not have, on that Sunday, that event. So hopefully that will help a little bit with some more community members, you know, wanting to come. So that's really going to be our focus. I mean, is really trying to ramp up this event. Colin really wants to go big, so we're doing a lot of brainstorming, just kind of talking about what we can do, what we can bring in, how we can make this event bigger for next year. So that was a big portion of our meeting, and then the second piece of that was really trying to figure out how to drive more engagement with our seniors and different programs. So those were really the two things that we covered off on. And then we're meeting June 5th, I think, again, with the trap team. So that'll be different. It'll be kind of a different environment. So I feel like I'm forgetting something, but those were the highlights. So
Great, thank you.
Mhm.
Curriculum, we did not meet. Facilities did not meet. Meet and confer did not meet. Negotiations did not meet. Policy did not meet. APAC, we've met a couple times since our last meeting. And of course, the big thing with APAC was our phenomenal banquet last Wednesday night. Jenny was there, and I'll let you share about that if you want to.
Yeah, I mean, it was really great. I thought they had a lot, the food was fantastic.
Yeah.
Like, worth going just for the food, but it was really great to see the kids and the different activities. My neighbor is one of the girls that danced. Like, she did so great. Like, she was amazing. And so, I don't know, it was just really cool to see their culture and doing, like, the smudging in the beginning. And, like, I just really enjoyed the whole night, so.
Yes, and they had a really great crowd. It was the most families that they've ever had, so I don't know exactly how many people there were, but there was a lot.
It was packed.
Yes, it was, yep. And Dan Neenum, I believe
Yep.
his name was, he was here in the all day doing, what was it called again, the sports
He did
games?
the Native
Not,
American
not
sports,
Olympic, what is the?
It's like lacrosse, but it's
Kinda like-
whatever
yeah.
their.
Yeah, native sporting activities with the high school kids. And he
Yeah.
travels around all over doing that. And he spent the whole day there, and then he came and he spoke that evening at the banquet, which was really neat. And they had drummers, and then they presented each of the kids with one of the 7 grandfather traits, nice write-up about them, so all the kids got to go up on the stage. And Mindy Foyer
Yes.
did just a phenomenal, cute, dramatized story with the kids, and it was very
That was
moving.
my favorite
It
thing.
was a powerful evening, so, yeah, we met last Thursday. They're just finalizing, working on budgeting and plans for end of the year activities and supporting students, Native students who are looking for colleges. And yeah, it was a good meeting, so. Booster Club, Sarah and Rob?
You want to start? We had 2 meetings. So I was a part of one that can't hear me? Sorry. We had 2 meetings. I was a part of one. I was not a part of the one last night. But the big kind of topic of discussion is around kind of organizing around a gala. The good news is it's going to still go. It's still in collaboration with Jordan Education Foundation. We had some additional information that kind of came to light with the last meeting that we had, where we basically kind of decided between both of the groups that we didn't necessarily need to try to have the gala as a part of homecoming. That would allow us to have a little bit more predictability in terms of the date, and then that would just help with the logistics of scheduling. So based on my understanding from last night's conversation, there was agreement that was reached where the gala is probably going to happen kind of in the February kind of time frame. They're going to look at a new venue, a lot of kind of the different kind of events and fundraiser activities. Those are going to still kind of be at play. But it should be good. I think that the opportunity to take a little bit of a step back and make sure that we're doing this right, I think is going to be good for all of us.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay, Ed Foundation?
That was our conversation as well.
Ditto. No, what else do I got here? So they finished the yard sign sales. They did really well with that. They sold 53 senior signs and 10 Jordan Pride signs. Grams closed this last Friday, so I'll have the assembly for that soon. Jen Bond, not Kosowicz, she joined the Jordan Education Foundation. Because it was a big thing for her dad. And they were really close with Jiv Polly, and so she wanted to honor her dad by joining in the foundation. So, and I think that's about all. You're getting some donations for, from the Bang Bingo that happened at Lindsay's already. And so hopefully a donation for the Education Foundation from that. So, I think that's all.
Thank you. Legislative, we've all been getting inundated with.
I'm sorry.
No, it's good, it's important. MSHSL, really nothing there other than some shakeup in the former conference that we ran.
Oh,
Is dissolving.
yeah.
And so they're all like, TCU is going to the Great South or whatever.
South.
That one is down there, south. And then a couple of districts are looking for new homes. So there's some juggling going on there. Some trying to get into Bright County. So we'll have to see how that plays out. So it'll be interesting. Yeah, it is kind of sad.
It's
Yeah.
crazy. Big
Rib-
River,
What was it called?
Minnesota
no.
River, Big River, I don't remember.
Whatever conference we used to be in for 100 years.
It predates me, but yeah.
Where's Perkle? You would know.
Yeah. Minnesota.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes, there you go. Yeah,
I wonder, do we know what is gonna happen with the plant? Or are they still jockeying?
they're
They are-
petitioning
they're-
to
yeah.
go in, to get into right.
Oh, okay, okay.
So
Yeah,
I,
and it'll be interesting because,
I hope they can do that.
yeah, well,
should I give an update?
sure, go ahead.
So, last Wednesday, I attended the Wright County superintendents, principals, athletic directors meet routinely. And, actually Central and Belle Plaine petitioned to join the Wright County Conference. It takes a 3/4 majority for somebody to get voted in. It sounds like they'll be making those decisions in June. It's not a given. For a ton of interesting conversations and reasons. That's a unique group. But, so they, so we'll see. I mean, it just depends. There's so many factors that go into the amount of sports and activities that are needed and they bring to the table and how many how many school districts are on each side, east and west, and what that looks like. So who knows? But the process, let's say they get in, great. Let's say they don't. If they apply to a second place or a second conference and don't get into that one, then MSHSL places them. So, and that's happened before. I think that's how Holy Family ended up in Wright County Conference. So, we'll see.
Can't we just pick them out? Belle Plaine?
Actually, fun fact. But, no, I know you were joking.
If they're placed by the high school league, no.
If they're placed, they're untouchable. They're there
Yeah.
for life.
Got it.
Yeah. So we'll see. I don't know how it'll land. I know, I think we're pretty transparent that we would be okay with that and we would support both of those districts moving into Wright County Conference. Whether one is on the east and one is on the west probably will be a geography thing. But yeah, we'll see it takes 3/4, so probably 11 out of however many, 13? Yeah, there's a lot.
How do they say geography plays in it when we have Worthington and Delano? I don't know.
Well,
To me, I just
Worthington's
don't
different. That's a different, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, that's a different
thing, but yeah.
As long as you go 150 miles this way, you're good.
Yeah, so we'll see how that plays.
If we included Hutchinson, I wouldn't be, that wouldn't be super sad.
Oh, gosh. But I will say both of those districts did just a fabulous job presenting all their offerings. I was very impressed with both districts. So.
Great. Okay, Southwest Metro, they're moving forward. It looks like they're gonna have an agreement on buying the Eastern Carver County School, the old school, and turning that into a level 4 setting. Other than that, they're just, nothing new there, so. SEAC, I don't think has met. No, okay. So then we'll go around and we'll do board reports. Jenny, how about if we start with you?
Sure. I think I signed my kids up for every possible summer activity, camp.
So you're saying we have
Last
good
year-
offerings?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I heard well, actually, so it was funny, I was talking to another parent, and they were talking about the coding, like, the coding thing at the elementary, and so I asked Maverick, I'm like, well, do you want to do it? And he was like, yeah. So apparently that's like the thing to do in the summer for the elementary kids, so I signed him up for that, and then we did the, like, football, baseball camps. They have swim lessons, which we don't have here, so it's somewhere else, but yeah, we'll be busy with activities, so.
Good. Corinne?
No, I don't really have much today. Now I'm gonna start talking, but I was listening to the presentation with the architect team, and I was a little more antsy, thinking we would see like some renderings a little bit sooner. So I know when I was kind of looking at the timeline, I was like, there's a lot of time before we're really gonna see anything. So, but excited for that work and just to kind of see how the whole process kind of being more, closer to it as being on the board. So, yeah.
Well, and, it's important that the staff and the community, there goes a cop car with its lights on.
Two of them.
Two of them.
This is so, like, I'm looking out, and then there's like a rainbow, so weird. Okay.
Yeah. So it's important that, as constituents, they all have buy-in and have voice, and so it's an important part of the
Yes,
process.
agree.
It will be exciting once we start seeing renderings and,
Can I ask?
It makes it more real.
Like, I saw the picture of the playground with no wood chips, no rubber chips, no, like, is that,
That's the goal.
oh my gosh, that'd be so amazing. Like, I hate,
Some
Plus
moms
and, like-
joked, all we had to say was no wood chips, and they're like, that baby's passing. Like, made me laugh.
like the little rubber ones are, like, 'cause some playgrounds have those, like the rubber,
Yeah.
and like sand, like, I'm sick of,
Yeah, we're going to try very hard to have no wood chips. That's the desire.
That would be really great because Eden does come home with her hat and she has it's like a scarf hat. So it's like hat with a scarf built in and it's covered in wood chips and they're really hard to get off.
can't get them out.
In fact, one of our advertisements and informational videos, I think, started with, it's almost wood chip season. So, I'm pretty sure it did, didn't it? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
great, good. Rob?
Just super excited for this time of the year. So obviously it was great to see the architect team. So hopefully we'll be able to start seeing those schematic designs in the next month. So I think that'll be kind of fun to get a little bit of a glimpse of what it's going to look like. Also, heard the play was amazing yesterday. It sounded like they just knocked it out of the park. So kudos to those guys. Very excited for Pop's concert here in a couple of weeks. Hat off to track team. Sounds like they're killing it. Baseball, keep going. So it's super active. I mean, it's just I forget how compressed spring is and how so many different activities happen, and then there's graduation, and then Holy Buckets we're in summer. So I feel like we're running on the treadmill at like 11 miles an hour. It's crazy, but exciting.
Yeah.
Molly?
The one sport you didn't talk about is one that I'm inundated with, softball.
Softball.
Every day of my life. So, I'm super excited for the Pomps concert. That's one of my favorite things to go to every year. Speech, that was awesome. I've known Kay since she's been like an 8U softball player with Brooklyn, and so it's really weird to see her, all confidence up there speaking like a young lady. So,
Weren't they well spoken?
yeah.
Yes.
The eye
Oh,
contact was
yeah.
impressive.
I agree.
Yeah, but no, and super excited for the end of the year to kind of close up and kids to be able to kind of take a breather. But I also signed my children up for everything this summer to keep them off their electronics. So, yeah, it's going good. But I'm not ready for next year to start because that's graduation.
Right.
We don't want to think of that one yet.
No.
So.
No, right, and that's one thing though, when, I love seeing the graduation list, I love that so much. It's such a huge milestone for all those kiddos and their families, and I remember, prior to having a senior, it was so great, and then having a senior, it makes it even more emotional. So this year, looking back of last year when Noah was on that list, and next year when Caden will be on that list, it's like, yeah, but I mean, graduation's coming. I cannot believe graduation's in a few weeks. That is my favorite, sitting up there. Oh my goodness. Like looking at all the kiddos and their families. I have goosebumps just thinking about it. That part's so great. I'm so sad we're missing the Pops concert. Noah will be back, so we're going to a Minnesota United game. So we're doing a soccer game, but I'm so sad, but we are going to do the acapella, which is 1 week later is the acapella concert. So that is also a fantastic one. And then I would say kudos to all the sports. Golf, we did not mention golf.
And lacrosse.
And lacrosse, they've also, but so I mean, and it's really exciting to get the lacrosse updates too.
Yeah.
Yes,
And the
I love
kiddos
that.
who are involved in that are so excited and they're
Mm-hmm.
loving that. It is such a great opportunity that we are able to provide for our students.
Yeah.
It's so cool. So,
Fun stuff.
yes.
Yeah.
And prom, all the kids looked
And prom-
amazing.
Oh,
Yeah, they
yes,
Prom.
that feels like so long ago and it was just a
It
week
was
and a
just
half.
last weekend.
I know.
And
Oh,
they all
goodness.
got home safely, that's the
Yeah.
important
Yes.
thing. Middle school play also was incredibly well done. It was so fun. I did go to the high school play on Friday night, and they knocked it out of the park. It was
You probably heard me laughing.
it was funny, and it was just a great play, just awesome. Highlight for me since the last meeting, though, was Chris Herron, the speaker. I went to all three of his presentations. I went to the adult one on Wednesday night, and I went to both of the student ones on Thursday. Oh my gosh, his message was unbelievable for the kids. Just powerful presenter and powerful speaker. If you
haven't watched his 30 for 30, it's amazing.
I was just gonna say that, if you weren't familiar with him, watch it, it's powerful. Just a reminder, end of the year breakfast, hopefully you'll all be there. That's when we honor our retiree, with the rest of the staff, and wish the staff, a good summer. And we honor the, years of service, and it's just a great event. I believe it's June 2nd.
That Friday morning, 7:30.
What time does it go until,
Roughly. Probably, 7:30, we start feeding people. We probably move into the auditorium around 8:30, and, we're hopefully
I
gonna
don't
be.
think we go to the auditorium for that one, do we?
Yep,
This year we are?
yeah, we did the last
Beginning of the
2
year, we
years.
don't go.
Yeah, in the
Oh,
spring
okay.
we do.
Okay,
Or we have.
Okay.
But to be fair, I haven't seen the plans yet. EMJ plans that event.
yep,
And I know they're planning it, so it's
Okay.
an assumption they'll have us move in again.
okay.
Meet us there, 7:30 or earlier.
Yeah, 7:30 is good. That's when people start walking in the door, and we just.
Few minutes earlier would be
Yeah.
good,
Yeah,
so
like
that we can greet people, hold the door when people
Yeah.
are going in,
Normally,
yeah.
That's fine. Yeah,
7:15, 7:20, I think.
Yeah.
and it'll be nice out.
And that's Friday, October 2nd.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then just to confirm, so for graduation, we are there, graduation's at 8, we are there at,
We meet at 7
7.
usually.
right?
7.
Yep,
And we meet by Jeff's office.
yep.
What day is that?
Oh, God, I don't know.
May
The
26th,
27th. Is it the 6th on that Saturday?
27.
That's what I.
27th, yes, May 27th.
And we all meet in front of Jeff.
Mm-hmm.
We just watch all the.
Yeah.
I love it.
I do too. That's such a good event.
so we meet at 7 PM?
Yep.
Yeah.
And I'll send, email
Yeah,
and,
but some, just as we're getting
But just-
closer to plan.
yeah,
I mean,
good to
it's
have in
already a
your head.
It's only a couple weeks away.
Right.
We're just
For
about
sure.
to-
Good call out, yeah.
If you haven't reserved your tickets for the pop concert, make sure you talk to Carolyn. So,
But I'm going to the acapella one, it's fine.
it's fine.
It's fine.
Yeah. It should And if
Anything
you
else?
don't wanna, if you don't wanna cook on Wednesday, remember it's the pasta thing that starts at 4:30 ahead of
Yep.
time. So.
Super. And after we're adjourned, I'm gonna talk about one more thing, but we'll adjourn first. So is there anything else? Yes. Is that really?
That's true.
Yeah, but is that really the Wessel girl that owns that one that's gonna do the one in town here? Okay,
I can't wait for
Cool.
that.
I know.
Be nice to have ice cream in town.
Yeah.